it's Libby, and today I'm going to be talking about the scientific approach and knowledge in the GCSE History, Medicine in Britain. So, the Renaissance. The Renaissance began in Florence, Italy, in the late 15th century and lasted until the 18th century. It was a cultural movement that revived part of ancient Greek and ancient Roman culture, and the church had less influence in the Renaissance. Scholars were paid to restore old texts and fix the bad translations that had been published in the Middle Ages. The theories proposed by Hippocrates and Galen became popular again. Humanism and Science. There was an increased focus on the importance of human factors rather than supernatural things. This was called humanism. There was also a focus on direct observation and experiments to explain things rather than blame them on something supernatural. This led some people to question the church. Renaissance means rebirth. It was a time of rebirth in the arts and science. The printing press, which was created in the 1440, was very important to share and spread ideas. The printing press allowed knowledge to be shared with more people very cheaply. Books and leaflets could be printed and sent across Europe, whereas previously a lot of information was only told person to person. There was also an impact on medicine. The rediscovery of Galen and Hippocrates' work meant that people began to see the importance of dissection and the human anatomy. The focus on humans and the increased spread of ideas all encouraged experimentation and the search for explanations. People began to dissect human bodies or corpses, and there were illustrations in medical writings and books. So to look back over on the Renaissance, we know that there was an increased focus on the importance of human factors rather than supernatural things. This was called humanism. There was a new focus on direct observation and experiments to explain things rather than blame them on something supernatural. And we also know that Renaissance means rebirth. So the medical theories of Hippocrates and Galen became popular again in the Renaissance, as we just learned. So, to look more into the changes in medical knowledge, there were some changes in society and in medical knowledge during this period, the Renaissance. Dissections became a more integral or important part of medical training. The College of Physicians was founded in 1518 and improved training and encouraged scientific observation. Between 1536 and 1541, Henry VIII closed a lot of Britain's monasteries. Because hospitals were often run by monasteries, there were actually fewer hospitals in this period than in previous years. And guns became a lot more common in the 17th century in warfare. This led to new injuries, and doctors had to find new ways to treat gunshot wounds. So, as we just learned, dissections became a more integral part of medical training. The College of Physicians, which was founded in 1518, improved training and encouraged scientific observation. So to look back on all these changes in medicine in the 16th century, we know that gunshot wounds became more common than ever before. We know that the College of Physicians was founded in 1518, and we know that the dissolution of the monasteries, which happened between 1536 and 1541, had a large impact on how many hospitals there were. So the Renaissance began in Florence in Italy in the late 15th century and lasted until the 18th century. It was a cultural movement that revived part of ancient Greek and ancient Roman culture. So to recap on why those British hospitals were closed in the 16th century, we know it was because Henry VIII completed the dissolution of the monasteries, where a lot of hospitals were run. So as we learned about dissection, the focus on humans and the increased spread of ideas all encouraged experimentation and the search for explanations. People began to dissect human bodies, and there were illustrations in medical writings and books. Leonardo da Vinci was a key illustrator of this anatomy. So the printing press, which meant that a lot of information could be spread, was created in 1440. It allowed knowledge to be shared with more people very cheaply, and before the press, a lot of information was only told person to person. Okay, so that's everything I'm going to be talking about today with regards to the Renaissance and its impact on science and knowledge. Thank you for listening.